I don't see the live, not Saturday night. And
I think we're live. Yes, we are. Good morning. How are you, everybody?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today.
Again.
Today, tonight, this morning. We live in a precarious time zone. We don't really know what time it is. We don't know.
Time to do our podcast. That's what it is.
Time to do the podcast.
So are we? Yes.
First question we have today is, where are my glasses?
I can see them. Up, up, up. Yep, there you go. Man, how many times? I mean, I'm sure it happens to a lot of people. Look around all your place for your glasses when they're on your head. I know it's like, the worst is when I looked with my glasses for my glasses, but that was a different state.
Yes. Well, good news is my English is getting better.
Yeah, it is. I understand. And also, today we're going to be nice to people. We're going to do easy questions, right?
Yes, easy questions. We're going to do them all in English. I've been practicing a lot. I've been trying to speak English every day.
You should stop trying and just do it.
That's what my wife says.
Yeah.
So we have some fun, easy questions today, but these are real questions that were asked by real students who were really serious and maybe just a little bit out of their mind. And the first one is, a student asked, what tool or tools can you not live without?
Oh, wow.
Now, I would rephrase that a little bit, because I don't know if there, can't live without. I can't live without a knife. I can't live without a stove.
I can't live without oxygen.
Yeah. But I think that what they probably mean is, what is your favorite piece of cooking equipment,
right,
other than a knife and a stove?
Okay, so let's remove the essentials.
Yeah. You got pots and pans, you got knives, you got a stove.
So let's say maybe gadgets then, or type of gadgets. I don't like gadgets, but yeah. What tool I could not live without? Maybe a food processor.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because it does a lot of things, and you can do a lot of food with that machine.
We've talked before about how neither of us are fond of gadgets that just clutter up the drawer. But I do have one. We have one tool that I find very, very useful. It only has one purpose, and that is this. I'll put it against my shirt so you can see it. It's a little tweezers for pulling fish bones out.
It's a fish tweezer, actually.
You can also can also use it. You can also use a needle nose pliers, but I find this one a little better, and it's easier to clean because it's just a little stainless. It's all one piece of stainless steel.
So they're pretty big. They're not like super tight. They're for bones. So the bones are pretty thick. So you're gonna have to apply a lot of pressure on those things.
Yeah, and this has got little the edges come to kind of a point, so you can really grab even the tiniest bones. We had some petrale sole the other night, and it was mostly deboned, but we found a couple, and you can really get them. I mean, like a salmon or something, the bones are huge, but in some pieces of fish, they're very, very.
When you buy a true cod and you have to debone that thing, man, those are.
Yeah. So I find this very handy. It's not expensive. I'll sell you this one for, I don't know, $10, but you can probably get it cheaper.
Both legs.
Both legs.
So deboning the fish, it's something that we do a lot here. You don't need to, because you're going to see the fish when the fish is cooked. You're going to see the bones.
Right.
Very easy. You don't need to remove the bones before, but we have to do it in restaurant and in food production because you can't have bones in there. Like you can't have olive pits,
right,
or cherry pits or stuff like this. You can't do that. So that's the idea. So the fish
or avocado pits. When you serve a whole avocado on the plate, you need to take the pit out first. Well, I like to take them out at home too. When I'm ready to eat my fish, I don't want to have to deal with the bones.
So for the tools, I don't know. There's not many tools I can't live without.
I happen to have another one here.
Yeah.
This, I don't know if I'd say I couldn't live without it, because you know, before I had one, I was still alive. So, but this is a crepe pan.
Oh yeah.
This is a French crepe pan. It's made
Yeah.
out of French black steel. And you can see it, it looks like a regular skillet, except that the sides are very, very shallow.
Yeah.
And we do make crepes. We love to make crepes, and they're really easy to make. You just make like a batter.
Are they made of carbon? Those are they like
carbon steel, black steel. So it has to be seasoned, but once it's seasoned, it's virtually a non-stick pan now. But
so
what I
those,
huh?
Yeah, no, those pans are used in France a lot. That's why we use in restaurants.
Yeah.
So they are a little bit like cast iron, but they're not as heavy, right?
Right. And it's what I like about it is not only can you make crepes, which, like I say, are very simple to make.
Can you show those a little better, because those are really nice pans against white? And look at yeah, that's great. And look how thin they are. Yeah, and you can have any size. This is a crepe pan, but there's we use those pans in restaurants in France at any size to cook all the stuff, because it's really healthy. Yeah. It's healthier than aluminum.
Yeah, with the deeper sides, it's a great omelet pan.
Yeah,
and we have a bigger size too. This one's about an 8 or 9 inch, and then we have a bigger one that's a couple.
Yeah, James has a bigger size.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not bragging either.
I'm proud. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
But what I love about this, like I said, not only do we make crepes, which are easy and fun to make, and they're handy to have, and you can make them ahead too. You can make a big stack of them. And
right.
And you can use them for savory dishes or for.
You know what I make with crepes? Since we are in the crepe, I make crepe cake. You know what those are?
Oh yeah, where it's like layers.
Man, it's so cool. So you make all the crepe, and in between layers of each crepe, you put one layer whipped cream, one layer chocolate, one layer jam.
Nice.
And you pile them up, and then you slice as a big pie. Oh my God, it takes forever to do.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's pretty easy.
The other thing I love about this pan is they're great for tortillas. Like making anything with a tortilla, or just heating tortillas. They're really great because you don't have to put any oil in the pan. You can just put a tortilla right on here and flip it, and they heat really fast. Another use that I have for it, because I use this pan a lot, they're great for doing fried eggs. Because the sides are so shallow, it's really easy to get a fine flipping tool in there to turn the eggs. I mean, if you're really good, you can flip them just by flipping the pan. But it's great for fried eggs, because I find in a deeper skillet, it's hard to get the spatula in there. So I find this an indispensable pan. Like I said, we have 2 sizes of them at home.
Those are actually great. I should put that on the website. I think I did, but those are healthier than aluminum pans. So the cheap aluminum, you can't cook with that, because you're going to get a lot of aluminum in your food. Iron is much better. What I recommend personally is you can't cook every day with iron, because you will get some of the iron and it's not the same. So that could be a problem.
Right.
But it's I think it's a better way to cook with good stuff, like stainless, like those clads, like those cast iron, those carbon steel. Those are beautiful stuff.
Yeah. And I think I said before, don't eat anything bigger than your head. So.
And to make tortillas, so you want to maybe precise what it's a tortilla, because we already talked about tortilla, and you're talking about something else.
Tortilla, which is like a flatbread made of either in the north of Mexico, they tend to make them out of wheat flour, and further into Mexico, they are mostly made of corn.
So the tortilla in this case is a flat. It's not a bread, huh? It's really like a. So the way to make those.
Describe it's like a crepe, really.
It's a crepe batter. So
that's why this pan works so well.
So the tortillas is pretty easy to do. You can take any type of recipe, and usually tortillas goes about this: 50% flour, 50% water. You mix it up, go in your pan, and make your tortillas. That's it. So if I want to make gluten-free, I can do a really good quinoa flour and water. So half and half, mix that, make batter, and make crepe, make tortillas. I mean, it's super easy to do. I should do a demo on it, but it's so easy. You literally take half and half flour, whatever flour. Amaranth is fantastic, but quinoa is expensive, but it works. Any type, like if you're gluten-free, you can always do that with easily any type of flour. The quinoa is harder to hold together because the gluten, what they do is they hold the dough, but it's still very, very easy to do.
You can use some xanthan gum, which helps bind it.
Yeah. Corn tortilla are really difficult to do. I mean, it's manageable, but
we have a tortilla press upstairs too. I should have brought one of those down. I'll show that another day. I'm sure most people have seen it, but device where you take the little ball of masa and then you press it out into a perfect round disc, and then you cook it on one of these, which is
exactly. Okay, cool.
All right. So on to so the answer is yes.
Answer is yes.
We do have favorite pieces of equipment.
We do.
That's right.
I like a spice grinder, a coffee grinder for my spices also. I forgot.
Oh, okay. Very good one. You're right.
Thank you.
You're right.
Thank you.
You know what else that's good for? I was making drinks at home once, and I wanted to use sugar, and you can't just use regular granulated sugar in a cocktail because it doesn't dissolve right.
Nice.
So ice grinder, and you grind it into a nice, like a bar sugar. Perfect.
Great call. Yeah, great call.
So another student asked, how exact do you need to be? How important is it to be exact when you're following a baking recipe?
It depends who's watching you.
That's right. If the person that wrote the recipe is watching, like your mother-in-law or something, you want to be pretty exact.
It all depends how much you understand about chemistry and how much you understand about the way the dough feels. I cook kind of precisely, not really. I've learned how to feel the dough and know when it needs moisture or it needs liquid. It's something you have to do. If you don't know how to cook, we're talking about baking, right?
Baking.
If you don't know how to bake, just follow the directions.
Especially the first time.
Yeah. If you decide to make changes, you need to write it down.
Right.
Cooking, you don't. Baking, you need to write down everything you're doing. Take a notepad like this guy. Take a notepad, write down your recipe, keep that. Say this time I did 1 more tablespoon of butter. I reduced the sugar from maybe 1 less quarter cup of sugar. I added some whatever it is. Just write down, because if that works really well, you're gonna want to go back to that recipe.
Right.
And if it doesn't work, then you can see. And as you keep doing stuff like this, experimenting, you're gonna make your own recipe, which is really cool. That's what we like, right?
Right. You just have to understand that if you change it, it's going to be different. It's going to be different than what it was intended to be. I mean, people talk about baking as being a very exact science, and it's true.
I mean,
the proportions are important because you want it to rise or do whatever. But you also have to imagine that if like chocolate cake, for example, there's a million different recipes for chocolate cake, and they're all different. So obviously there's no one way of doing something, but they're all different too.
Yeah. So basically, if you have a recipe from someone online or whatever, and you use different flour, different sugar, different everything, you may end up with a different result, because each ingredients are different. Even the water, I mean, the water, it depends on the water, not that much, but especially for bread, water is very important. Yeast is important. It's not the same yeast. Flour is crucial to use.
Live makes a big difference. The weather.
Flour is crucial to use good flour, and that's going to be always, just like always using good ingredients. And flour needs to be fresh. It can be like 5 years old, like most people keep that. No, dump it. It's cheap stuff. Just dump it. Just get new flour, make a nice fresh flour with a lot of good stuff in there. Just don't get that old stuff that's about to die.
Also
Okay.
realize that if you're going to change a recipe, for example, you want to make something gluten-free or you want to reduce sugar or something, it might take a couple times before you get it right, because
It might. You mean it will?
it will, because you
It
might
will take a lot of time.
by a lot, and it's going to change the consistency of the cake or the cookie or whatever it is. So you just have to be patient. And but if you really like to bake, it's fun to experiment. And
so what I've noticed with gluten-free, I do some gluten-free stuff sometimes for my business partner Lisa. And what we do, so the way to think of it is this: when you bake anything with water, what's happening in food with gluten is the glutens are creating a network and they're holding the liquid or the water.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't have those glutens, there's no hold. The water just goes away.
Right.
So usually you end up with more dense stuff.
Right.
So what I like to do is I like to add water or add fat to it. So add moisture. So when it steams, the physical action of raising is from the steam, not from the CO2. And you kind of get that cakey idea. So you have to really play with the liquid, and definitely you're going to need more liquid because that liquid evaporates from the cake.
Right. Also beware if you're buying gluten-free all-purpose flours.
Yes.
You might want to experiment with different ones and find the one that you like, because some of them are just full of bean powder, which, you know, if you're making a pie crust, you don't want your pie crust to taste like beans. You want it, you know. So, I mean, you're never going to really get the flavor of a real flour pastry crust, but you can get close. And but experiment with the different flours.
Yeah, you can get a lot of good stuff actually. Just one before we started to close, we had this new teacher. She's going to come back, of course. She's really good in gluten-free and stuff like that. And we're going to do, so we have a whole class that's going to come out on gluten-free. And we are going to do also vegan baking, because that's a big demand also.
Really?
So,
how do you make a vegan?
Well, there's a lot of things. We could do our own butter. There's a bunch of stuff we can include that is really cool.
I like vegans with rosemary and garlic.
Yeah, right. So I'm not vegan by myself. I'm not vegan, so I want to make sure that. But I do a lot of vegan classes because, first of all, it is so much fun to cook vegetables the right way. I feel like everybody should know how to cook vegetables because vegetables are your savior. You need to understand that whatever you eat in your diet, I don't care if you eat meat or no meat or fish, you absolutely need vegetables. And a crucial part of diet is raw vegetables. Not all of it, but you need to eat a lot of raw stuff. And that goes with salads and vegetables and fruits because you need enzyme, you need a lot of those nutrients. This is crucial. So understand the importance of eating vegetables is actually super, super important. You cannot eat meat without vegetables. This is my
I eat sushi. Does that count?
Sushi? Yeah, sushi is great. I would not eat sushi right now personally, but that's me. I would be a little cautious. Out of random thinking, I don't know. It just seems to me any raw food right now would be a little bit tricky.
Maybe. I like sushi. I find that some people undercook it though. But
sushi is great. No, good fish is phenomenal. It's just, in my opinion, right now, I would be a little cautious, and I would definitely use lemon and horseradish, which is the green stuff. Definitely use that wasabi. Absolutely, absolutely. You cannot eat fish without. So understand the concept of that horseradish or that how do you call this thing? The green thing.
Oh, the wasabi.
Wasabi.
Yeah.
That's an antibacterial and antiviral. So just use that when you eat your fish.
That's why you get the pickled ginger with sushi too. It's to counteract any microbes that might be in the fish.
But mostly the green stuff though, the wasabi. That's
yeah. So the answer to how important is it to be exact in baking recipes? The answer is yes.
No. The answer is no.
That's our first no.
Okay. The answer is kinda.
Kinda.
Kinda, sorta.
Maybe. All right. I've always fooled around with baking recipes. I'm never
Oh,
exact.
me too, man.
I never measure exactly either.
You know, and that's the fun about baking, experimenting. If not, it's really not fun at all. Like
Yeah.
baking just to follow direction, yeah, it's okay. But trying to think of something to come out and like understanding the chemistry, this is so fun because, and that's what kids should, can have fun with that because kids are not afraid of changing stuff, and that's what's cool about it. So keep doing it, and it's cheap, flowers and stuff.
Yeah. And there's no rule that says I can't put ground beef in my chocolate chip cookies. There's just no rule that says I can't. So.
There was this really cool study. I think it was done in Dutchland or France. It was very funny. They were trying to figure out what happened if you let the toddler decide their food, for example. So they had a few question answer where they could pick the stuff. And the biggest choice that the kids were coming out with was hot dog with chocolate.
Oh.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
Anyway,
let's choose dinner.
I eat my hot dog, but I'm surprised that kids want it.
Yeah. I like hot dogs. Good hot dogs.
Yeah, good hot dog.
Top Dog, about once every few weeks I go to Top Dog downtown and
yeah, that's a good one.
It's so good.
Oh my! So this place, chef, Top Dog is an incredible place, right?
Well, they're right. The one downtown is right across the street from the Berkeley Art Museum. So when I go to the museum every few weeks, then I treat myself and I go across the street and have a hot dog.
But that's a place where a lot of people go after clubs and after bars also.
Yeah.
Right, huh? Because it's open all night or something?
It's open late.
And there's a line out there. It's really good hot dog. It's amazing stuff.
Yeah. Really
they
good.
Are all different sausages. The condiments are amazing. I mean, they're not cheap. But
the owner is this crazy anarchist guy, and he's got all this literature all over the walls about anarchy and libertarianism.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's a cool
read all this stuff.
He's a really cool. It's a really good place.
All right, so the answer is yes.
The answer is yes, definitely yes.
So we have a really serious question now. This has been debated by scholars and scientists for years. Is French toast really French? Is it really from France? And how about French fries? Well,
first of all, we don't say French fries, we say freedom fries, remember?
Right. By the way, this student flunked the course too. I just want to point that out. But.
I was in Los Angeles when that thing with the freedom fries happens.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
I was working in a restaurant that was pretty crazy, and there's a point where people hated French people. Another time, that's not the first time it happened. And I was really targeted in the restaurant. I mean, I was really one of the few French people, and I was working in that restaurant. I was pretty nice. And I really, when I used to, and we serve French fries, and when I go, no, seriously, like it was insane. I would get, do you like fries? Or they're like, no, we want freedom fries. Like, and I was like, how about this one? What does it mean? Like,
stupidity's
do you think the fries are coming from what? I mean, like, those are American potatoes. They are either Idaho, cowboy potatoes, Kennebec. There's not French potatoes here. It's like, fuck you, man. Oh.
And actually, what we call French fries probably originated in Belgium, don't you think?
Yeah, right.
They have the unbelievable fries, pommes frites. Of course, they call them. They don't call them French fries. They call them pommes frites, fried.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. So yeah, fries they're not great health-wise, but they're fun to eat, once in a while for sure. Okay.
The problem with French fries in America is most people, that's their only vegetable, and they eat them every day.
Yeah, exactly.
And they get them from fast food places. And
I'm going to tell you another problem with French fry that is really, really, in my opinion, is the oil that they fry in.
Right.
So we have a frying. So we do a lot of classes at Kitchen on Fire, of course, and one of the classes that we have here is frying. Because you have to understand how to fry to make it not bad, not too bad. You have to be, it's not super healthy, but you can do it in a way that is not completely destroying your health.
Right.
And that includes using really good oil and fresh oil.
Yeah,
and that's expensive because we use rice bran oil when we do our frying class. Even if we buy bulk, we pay a good amount of money for that, because I don't want to serve in my school some disgusting stuff like canola and peanut and all this stuff that are completely oxidized. I want fresh, good oil. It's pricey, but I feel I am feeding my student. I can't have them playing around with like ugly stuff, and I can't teach them stuff that they're gonna get sick from. So there's no way. So there's a way to fry the fries. And I'm going to tell you a very funny story. There was one of my students had a small restaurant in Oakland, nothing fancy, but he was doing a lot of frying. And after he took the 12-week series, which is a really good program. It's an intense program where you learn really everything. And then he went back to his restaurant and he changed the oil as I suggested to him. And he told me after a few weeks that people actually commented on the food, like for the first time. They were like, "What did you do? Oh my God, the food is so much better." Yeah, I'm like, you understand? If you're cooking with a damaged fat or something that's dead, that's going to go all over your food. You're going to feed that to your customers. This is a shame. You can't do that.
It's going to be nasty.
And it's super oxidizing. And that is called actually lipid peroxidation. If people wants to look at it, it's basically it's a terrible thing that happened in the fat. And one thing you can do to alleviate a little bit is using black pepper and a lot of spices. But I am developing a little side place, probably a podcast or a little website. I'm talking to a couple of biochemists. I want to explain to you all the stuff. I don't want to be the only one doing it, because you're not going to believe what I tell you, because I'm not a PhD in biochemistry. That's fine.
Nonsense. I believe everything you say.
Yeah. That's why you're my co-host.
I have my sound turned off too. So.
But I'm going to explain to you all the stuff, how it works. It's pretty cool. And I will work with those doctors, those PhD in biochemistry. So even though we believe the same thing, coming from them, that might have more weight, because I want people to understand that the fresher the food, the less oxidized it is, the better it is for your body. And that's going to be for the rest of your life. Now, because of that whole thing happening with the virus and everything, you need to have your immune and your health extremely good, extremely strong. And that's going to start with not using damaged fat, right?
That's right. So let me quickly get back to the question. Talk about French.
Oh, that question.
French toast, which so far I've never heard anyone refer to as freedom toast. Maybe they did. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. There is some in France. They have a dish that's virtually the same thing, and it's called pain perdu, lost bread. And traditionally, it would be a way of using bread that wasn't quite fresh, and it would be for dessert. You would make it for dessert. You would, you roll it in egg batter and milk, and then you saute it, and then you put whatever you want on it, powdered sugar, jam, honey. In here, we usually use maple syrup. So it is based on a French concept, and that's how I'm sure how it became called French toast. But
so you basically take the bread, dip them in your egg mixture with milk, right?
Yeah, that's what I do.
And then you fry it in the pan. So you know how in Spain it's called torrijas, and it's with white wine instead of milk.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's the same thing. You put your eggs and your white wine in the pan, and you dip your eggs in there, and you sear that on your pan. Boom. And that's a dessert.
I make
torrijas. That's a little dessert. That's really cool.
When I buy good bread from the baker, when I get down to the last quarter of the loaf, it's usually pretty stale by then because it's been a few days. So I often will make French toast for breakfast. It's a great way to use stale bread, because once you soak it in the eggs,
good idea, yeah.
Good idea. Delicious. Well,
all right.
We're about out of time. So we have no more questions. We have a lot more questions, but no more today. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you, Chef.
I want to thank everybody too, and thank you, James, for being all helping people to feel a little better. Hopefully we can bring that. I don't know, like there's a lot of sorrow and A lot of people having a hard time, especially in the food business. I don't know what to do, guys. I'm just waiting like everybody else.
But we're going to get through this, and it's all going to be okay.
Yeah, hopefully.
And I'm very much hoping, I said to my wife today, I hope this is the strangest thing we ever lived through. We'll be lucky if that's the case. So goodbye. Thank you. Don't be afraid of your kitchens.
Yeah, goodbye. Thank you. Thank you.
Just be afraid of